Hello, welcome back to the ANA podcast. I'm Ashley, and today we are going to be talking about the final book of the Pentateuch. We finally made it. So we went through Genesis, we went through Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and now we're finally at Deuteronomy. So I'm just going to jump right into it, and we'll get on with the video. To start with a little overview of the book of Deuteronomy, we need to go back a little bit. So the previous book, Numbers, ends with the people just about to enter the promised land. Moses sinned, making it so that he will not enter the promised land, and then none of the adults that have been through the Exodus and are in the wilderness will be a part of entering into the promised land because they've sinned. It'll only be like a new generation, the like people's children and stuff that went on the Exodus. So Deuteronomy is a series of speeches that Moses gives to this new generation, calling them to be faithful to God. Moses outlines the Torah and lays out many of the laws previously given. So Deuteronomy actually gets its name from a Greek word, and I'm gonna totally butcher this, but it's like let's see here. I'm gonna read it. Deuteronomian. I'm sorry, I probably butchered it, but it means a second law. And so this is just saying that Moses is repeating the previous laws that were given, and he's just imploring the people to follow them and to not be like their parents' generations were, or their grandparents' generations, not be like the wicked people that came before them. The thing is, Moses knows that they're going to be just like their parents, even though he calls them not to be. They're just as wicked, just as rebellious as the people that came before them. But Moses eventually says, like, though this is true, one day there will be this perfect Israelite leader that will bring you to salvation, basically, which points to Jesus. Okay, anyway, Moses kind of lays out the whole story so far and urges the people to remain faithful to God, unlike their parents, like I said. So some stories that you might know, the one that really sticks out to me is the death of Moses. Spoiler alert. Moses ends up dying. He dies like right before they enter into the promised land. So Deuteronomy is, like I said, it's kind of just a collection of speeches, and so it's not like different stories. But the death of Moses might be one. So Moses is told that he's going to like pass away on this mountain. And so he passes away on this mountain before they enter the promised land, and he can just see the promised land, but he'll never be able to enter it. And so I think I said in a very previous video that the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Bible, are written by Moses. But after Moses dies in Deuteronomy, it's probably Joshua that finishes out the book. There's not that much left after Moses dies. So that's something that you might be familiar with. One key Bible verse it's 2 actually. 2 key Bible verses come from Deuteronomy 6, 4-5, and this says, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. Love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength." And this, Jesus points back to this when he's talking in the New Testament. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength is the greatest commandment. The second is like this: love your neighbor as yourself. And so I think it's very cool. Jesus obviously pulls a lot from the Old Testament, but this is one key thing that you can see is repeated from the Old Testament through the New Testament. And really, all the laws that are set up is to love God and to love neighbors. Like, that's what the whole thing is about. The ways in which loving neighbors happens best is through following these laws and these commands. And so this just kind of sums up the whole Bible, I guess. How does this book point to Jesus? So rebellion points to the human condition that started in the garden when we took the bite of the fruit that we shouldn't have, and then points us to our need for Jesus. Moses, like I said, speaks to the fact that he does not want these people to follow in the footsteps of their parents, but he knows that they will. He knows that there's a sickness of the heart that needs to be corrected with these people, and there's an ultimate hope that's pointed to later, that God will give these people a new heart so that they won't be rebellious. And that points to when Jesus comes, the Holy Spirit is given to us, and we I'm sorry, you can probably hear a dog in the background. Okay. As I was saying, this points to after Jesus comes, lives, dies, rises again, and ascends back into heaven. He gives us the Holy Spirit. He gives us a new heart because the Holy Spirit lives in us, and through that we're able to serve him. And yes, we fall short, but that new heart is given to the people. And where does Numbers end? Like I gave the spoiler before, it ends with the death of Moses, and that's kind of where it leaves off. There's like a little bit after it, but yeah, that's where it ends off. So it's Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and then we come to Joshua, and that is kind of where the people enter the Promised Land. So all these books of the Pentateuch are kind of just the beginnings of Israel. There's so much more to come, so many more ups, downs, and left and right, and loop-de-loos to come. But this kind of just sets the stage for the rest of the story to take place. So that's the Pentateuch. Yeah. The next Bible Basics episode, or Bible overview, is going to be on the book of Joshua, which starts some more of it's not the Pentateuch, but it's still a historical narrative. And I guess I'll talk more about that next time. Anyway, until then, I hope you have a great day. Have a great week. I don't know what I'm trying to say. My brain is all over the place, I tell you what. Anyway, have a great day.